Hello, my dear students. How are you all? I am Vashabi, your teaching buddy, and I welcome you all to study class 5 Science with me by Economic Series, a unit of Amit Publishing. Okay, so let's move on. Today we'll study unit number 7, that is Natural Things Around Us. Chapter number 12, Solid, Liquids and Gases. Let's see what all we have to study here. So the chapter contents are how molecules are arranged in different states of matter. How do states of matter change their form? What is expansion and contraction? What are some types of changes? What is solubility? How do we separate substances? Okay, so these all will cover up today's chapter. Let's see. So everything around us is in a state of matter. जो भी हम अपने आसपास देखते हैं, what is that? They are matter. Matter is something that has mass and takes up space. जो भी occupy करता है space को, which has weight, which has mass, that is called matter. Matter is made up of very tiny particles and they are called molecules. A molecule is said to be the smallest, tiniest part of a substance that has all the properties. So whatever property of matter we study, basically they are properties of molecules. And different substances are made up of different molecules. So, first of all, how are molecules arranged in different states of matter? So, matter exists in three forms, three states, that is solid, liquids and gases. Correct? Now, the way molecules are arranged in a substance determines if the substance is a solid, a liquid or a gas. Molecules in solid, first of all, we see so many various things around us which are in solid state. So, how in solid state the molecules are arranged, how they are being formed. So, today we are going to study all these. So, in solids, molecules are very closely packed. बहुत ही close encampment होता है. They vibrate at their positions but cannot move. This is the reason why solids have a definite shape and a volume, and solids do not flow. So, in solids, the molecules are so closely packed that they can vibrate, they can just shuffle, but they cannot change or move from their place. Correct? Now, coming to molecules in liquids, molecules are less closely packed. They can move around a little in the space between them and they can flow. Here, solids में क्या था? They cannot flow. They can flow, they are little less packed. And this is the reason why liquids have a definite volume but no definite shape. Liquid doesn't have any shape of its own. Liquid, whatever container you are pouring into, be it a glass, a cup, a jug, a bottle, it will take the shape of the container but it doesn't have shape of its own. Liquids can be poured and they take the shape of the container whichever you are pouring in. So here we can see solid, they are closely packed. These molecule is so tightly packed. Here they are a little less packed and they can move, and this is the kind of liquids which we see in our daily life. And in solids you can see ice cube or whatever solid things around us. Molecules and gases molecules are far apart from each other. They can move about freely in all the directions, and this is the reason why gases have neither a definite shape nor a definite volume. Gases flow. Correct? Now this is a gas. When you are steaming a water, boiling a water, so the water is coming out in the form of gas. So basically water is one such thing which is present in all the three states. If you freeze the water, it will take the shape of ice. Then if you allow it to melt it down, it will convert into water, that is liquid. And if you boil the water, steam the water, it will be in the form of gases. So water has all the three properties. How do states of matter change their form? Matter can change its state or its form when they are heated or cooled. So let us see. Now it means the terms is movement of molecules. So this is what we understand by movement of molecule. When we heat or cool the matter, it changes its form, it changes its shape. So molecules in solids are constantly vibrating in their position, while molecules in liquids and gases, that is in any kind of fluids, they are moving constantly. Correct? So in solid they vibrate because they cannot move, whereas in solids and liquid they move freely and they are moving constantly. So when heated molecules vibrate faster and move away from each other, जब हम गर्म करते हैं किसी मैटर को, वो they move faster and they start moving from each other. On cooling, molecules vibrate slower and move closer to each other. Cool करने से वो एक दूसरे के पास आने लग जाते हैं. Thus, heating or cooling causes changes in the arrangement and movement of molecule. This leads to change in the state of matter. So, the term fluid is used to refer to liquids and gases. So, fluid जो basically word use होता है, it is used for liquids and gaseous state materials. Okay, now change of state from solid to liquid. On heating, the closely packed molecules of the solid start to vibrate fast, as I told you. Now, as the solid is heated further, its molecules vibrate faster, correct? Now, when they vibrate very fast, they break from the closely packed arrangement and becomes less packed arrangement. This is when a solid changes into a liquid. The change of state of a solid into a liquid on heating is called melting. Now, what is melting point, or what do you understand by melting? The answer is the change of state of a solid into liquid on heating is called melting. So, the example is when ice melts to form water, as I told you. So, ice cubes, when they are melting to form water, it is an example of melting. Or when you are having ice cream, so when you don't keep it in the refrigerator or deep fridge, it melts down. So, it's an example of what? Melting. Change of state from liquid to gas. On heating the less closely packed molecules of a liquid state, it starts to vibrate fast. As the liquid is heated further, its molecules vibrate very fast and it breaks from the less closely packed arrangement and move far apart, correct? Now, this is when a liquid changes to another form, that is to a gaseous state. And this change of state of a liquid into gaseous on heating is called evaporation. So, basically, what is evaporation? When you boil water, when you heat water and it changes its form, its state from liquid to gaseous and it gives out steam. So, that process is called evaporation. So, when water is heated to boil steam, it gives water vapor and that process is what? Evaporation. Now, change of state from gas to liquid, how is it possible again? On cooling, the molecules of a gas start to vibrate slower. तो जैसे हम cool करना start करते हैं, क्या होता है? Vibration molecules के slow हो जाते हैं. As the gas is cooled further, its molecules vibrate even more slowly and start coming closer to each other. मतलब वो packed form में वापस आने लग रहे हैं. That is, they are again trying to take the solid state. This is when a gas changes to a liquid, and this change of state of gas into a liquid on cooling is called condensation. So, example, steam, that is water vapor, it cools down to form water. So, that process is called condensation. Correct? So, here you can see steam, when it cools down, it again gives out water. So, change of state from liquid to solid. Now, on cooling, the molecules of a liquid starts to vibrate even slower, and as the liquid is cooled further, its molecule vibrate more slowly and comes close together. So, this is when a liquid changes to a solid form, and this change of liquid into solid on cooling is called freezing. So, freezing point is the change of state of liquid into solid on cooling is called the freezing point. So, example is when water cools to form ice. Correct? I hope it is understood now. So, this is the daily phenomena which we often see in our day-to-day life, and this is the science and logic behind it. Now, what is expansion and contraction? So, when a substance is heated, it expands or gets bigger. आप कोई चीज मेल्ट करते हैं, हीट करते हैं, so it expands, it spreads out. So, the increase in the size of a substance on heating is called expansion. And when the molecules get heated, they vibrate more and thus take more space. So, these molecules themselves do not increase in size, but the space between them is increasing. तो heat करने से क्या हो रहा है? तो molecules के बीच में space is increasing. So because of the increase in space, they are widening up, they are spreading up. So that is how the expansion is taking place. Now this causes expansion. So they are giving an example. A tightly closed metal lid of a glass jar can be opened by heating. If the jar is inverted and just the lid is dipped in hot water for some time, the lid can be opened easily as it gets directly or slightly expanded. So what happens, a lot of time we try to open any lid, कोई भी cap हम किसी jar का, किसी container का, when it gets fixed up and we are not able to open it, what we often do, we dip it inwardly in a hot water. So उससे क्या होता है, expansion हो जाता है. Whatever molecules which are tightly packed, they try to spread enough. उनका space बढ़ता है, so they loosen up. So that's how this phenomena helps in opening any jar lid. So basically the science behind this expansion, वो heat करने से expand हो जाता है. Now similarly, when a substance is cooled, it contracts or gets smaller. So the decrease in the size of a substance on cooling is called contraction. So what is contraction? The decrease in the size of a substance on cooling is called contraction. When molecules are cooled, they vibrate less and they take less space. So these molecules themselves do not decrease in size, but the space between them is decreasing. Correct? So this causes contraction. This phenomena is contraction. So example again, a loose metal lid of a glass jar can be made tight. Now this is the opposite of what we had done before. Now this can be made tight by cooling process. And if the jar, the lid is inverted in the ice cold water, the lid contracts and it becomes tight. So now you can see कि एक ही चीज को हम condense करके and melt करके हम एक ही state to another state we can change. Similarly, by expansion and contraction processes, we can lose or even make things tighter. Okay, so this is what we studied about expansion and contraction. Coming to what are some types of changes. Changes around us can be grouped into two main categories, that is physical changes and chemical changes. Correct? Now, physical changes, as the word suggests, physical means उनके physical attribute में, physical feature में क्या changes आते हैं. So, a change in which no new substance is produced is called a physical change. In this kind of change, there can be change in the size, shape, or of an object, but there will be no new formation of an object. So, example, when a ball of dough is rolled into a round and flat shape, no new substance is formed. The roll shape can be changed back again into a ball, and this is a physical change. So, when we need, हम लोग ऐसे when we make chapati out of wheat dough, when we make a circle of it, then we flatten it, we roll it down. So, it takes a shape. It changes its shape from a round circle to this flat circle kind of thing. That is a chapati. Again, if you just roll it down into your hand and make it a ball, it will again change from chapati to a dough. So they are trying to say that in this kind of process, physical change can be done, but there is no new formation. So this is what about physical changes. Similarly, freezing of water, drying of clothes, breaking of glass, they are examples of physical changes. Now, evaporation and condensation of water are also physical changes. Now, coming to chemical changes, a change in which one or more new substances are produced. जहाँ पे एक नया formation होता है, नया production होता है, that is called a chemical change. So, the substance not only changes its size and shape, but it also creates a new substance. This new substance cannot be changed back into original substance. जो एक नया substance form हुआ है, it cannot go back to its original form. So, the example is when a rolled dough is cooked. Now, this is important. When a rolled dough is cooked, it becomes a chapati, a different kind of substance. So, एक बार when you have cooked the chapati after rolling it down, making it a flat, उसको आपने चपाती के form के बाद it cannot come back to its original wheat dough. So, the chapati cannot be changed back into the dough. The kind of change is a chemical change. So, that process is a chemical change. Similarly, burning of paper, rusting of an iron, ripening of fruits, they are example of what? Chemical changes. एक बार changes उसमें हो गया, नया substance बन गया, it cannot go back to its original form. So these are like from raw banana it becomes a ripe banana. You eat it, you finish it. It cannot go back to a raw banana again. So these are example of chemical changes. Now what is solubility? Molecules of a liquid have spaces in them. We already spoke about it. Now this space can be filled with a molecule of solid or a gas or a liquid. The ability of a substance, that is a solute, to form a solution. किसी substance में एक ऐसी capacity है, ability है to form or to make a solution with another substance that is called solvent. So the substance which is able to make a solution, that is called solute, and with another substance that is called solvent, and the total solute and solvent becomes solubility. Okay, so they have this capacity of solubility. So solids dissolved in liquids. Based on solubility, there are two kinds of substance, that is soluble होता है, एक होता है insoluble. Substance that dissolve completely in water to form solution are called soluble substances. जो चीज water में घुल जाए, soluble हो जाए, they are soluble substance. So like example, salt and sugar, they are soluble in water. You stir a spoon of salt, a spoon of sugar in water. For the bath, you keep stirring it, you will not find it in the glass of water because it is soluble. So like sugar in water, it mixed up, sugar dissolved in water, they took up the spaces between the molecules and now they are completely soluble here. So this becomes a sugar solution. Now substances that do not dissolve completely in water are called insoluble substance. So example, sand. Sand, water में आप keep on stirring it, sand will never be dissolvable in water. So that is an insoluble substance. Liquids mixed with liquids. When two liquids completely mix with each other and appear as one liquid, they are said to be miscible. They are said to be miscible, that is miscible. And examples are water and vinegar. They are miscible. That is, they completely mix. आप water vinegar mix करेंगे, आपको पता नहीं चलेगा which is water, which is vinegar. So if two liquids do not mix, they are said to be immiscible. And examples are water and oil. You sometimes if you can try this out at home. Take a glass of water, put some cooking oil over it. It will float over water. It will never be dissolvable in water. So when two liquids, they do not mix together, they become immiscible. When two liquids, they mix and blend together, they are said to be miscible. Water acts as a solvent for many substances. This is why water is called universal solvent. Water सबके साथ mix up हो जाता है, इसलिए ये universal solvent है. So you can see this is miscible liquid where two liquids are completely dissolvable. Here, when you can see difference in two liquids, that is immiscible. Now gases mixed in liquids. Some gases such as oxygen dissolve in water. Aquatic animals breathe in this oxygen which is dissolved in water. Aerated drinks contains a large volume of carbon dioxide gas. The soft drinks which we consume, they have a lot of carbon dioxide under pressure. So that's how when we open the cap or open the lid of a can, जो sound आती है, that is because of the under pressure carbon dioxide is packed in it. So when a can or bottle of an aerated drink is opened, some carbon dioxide comes out in the form of bubbles. Now saturated solution. When salt is dissolved in water, salt molecule takes the space between water molecules and it to make a salt solution. Now if this salt is continued to be added to this solution, there will come a stage when there will be no space left between the molecules of water. So when this happens, any more salt that is added will not dissolve but just settle at the bottom of the container, and such a solution cannot dissolve any more of the solute is called saturated solution. So basically saturated solution क्या होता है? When the entire space between the water molecules are been now fixed, जहाँ पे कोई space नहीं है, कोई capacity नहीं है to hold any more salt or whatever you are pouring in. So that stage when it covers up the entire space, and now the salt is starting to settle down at the bottom. That stage is called saturated solution. So here, like in a glass of water, if you keep on pouring salt, एक time आएगा जब salt अब dissolve नहीं हो पाएगा, it will settle down, like this excess salt is settling down at the bottom. This is called saturated solution. How do we separate substances? Sometimes different kinds of substances get mixed with each other, like small stones get mixed with rice grains, sugar gets mixed in water. So there are many methods of separating these substances. Separation methods, or it is based on size, shape or color. So when substance of different size, shapes or color gets mixed together, it is easy to separate them by just picking them out. So जब pulses and grains they are mixed with small stones, you can just pick it out and separate it. This method of separating out substances by picking them out is called hand picking process of separation. So like small brown stones can be separated from white rice grains by hand picking. Now separation based on solubility. Soluble substances, solids, can be separated from a solution through a method called evaporation. So examples are salt can be separated from a saturated salt solution through evaporation. तो जहाँ हमने पहले देखा था when excess salt was there in a saturated solution, so their excess salt can be separated by the help of evaporation. So salt can be separated from a saturated solution through evaporation. When the salt is heated, salt solution is heated for some time, the water content evaporates and the salt is left behind. So based on solubility हम evaporation से separate कर सकते हैं, and here based on size, shape and color, when you can just differentiate between solid particles, you can hand pick separate it. Insoluble substances can be separated from a solution by filtration. So in this method, a solution containing an insoluble substance which is passed through a layer that allows a liquid to pass through it. So इसका basic example है when we filter tea, when we make tea, हम सीधा उसको strain करते हैं so that tea leaves are there on the strainer and you get the tea in a liquid form. That is the simplest example of insoluble substance separating from a solution. So the layer used for separation could be a fine cloth, a strainer or a filter paper. The liquid passes through a container while the insoluble substance remains behind in the filter layer. So the example, sand can be separated from water through filtration, and as I gave you the example of tea. So these are basic things like how you can separate salt solution, that is through evaporation, separation by filtration. So here we have finished learning and understanding the chapter. Let's quickly recall the points. Everything around us is made up of matter. In solids, molecules are very closely packed. They vibrate at their position but they cannot move. Matter can change its state, that is its form, when it is heated or cooled. On cooling, the molecules of a liquid start to vibrate slower. When a substance is heated, it expands and gets bigger, and molecules of a liquid have spaces between them. Soluble solids can be separated from a solution through a method called evaporation. Correct? Now let's quickly try to answer some questions. Why do solids have a definite shape and volume? Solids have a definite shape and volume because the molecules in them are tightly packed. They are closely packed. They are so closely packed that the molecules between them cannot even move. So this is why they take a definite shape and a size. Now what is the difference between a physical change and a chemical change? So in physical change, what happens? There might be a change in their shape and size, but there is no new formation of a substance. Whereas in chemical change, what happens? A new substance is formed which cannot go back to its original form. So this is what chemical change is about. Give one example. So you can give the example of wheat dough. When it is in a form of a circle, you flatten it, you make a raw chapati, you again break it and put it back to a circle form. Whereas with the same chapati, when you cook it, it becomes a proper roti to be eaten, which cannot take back to its original shape or size. That is a chemical change. What is a molecule? So molecules are the substances present inside a matter and whatever shape and size they are taking because of molecule. What is handpicking? So handpicking is a process of separating solid particles from you can say grain, pulses, whatever. So that is a process of handpicking to separate out the solids. What is the difference between expansion and contraction? So expansion on heating, molecules do separate, they widen up, they create more space, so that is expansion. And contraction is the same process. When you cool down the substance, the molecules, they start to come closer and they become tighter. What kind of substance can be separated using filtration? So like you can separate sand from water, you can say, with the example of tea. So when insoluble substances are there in the solution, they can be separated through the process of filtration. So my dear students, this was all about this chapter. But again, as I always say, you need to learn and understand this chapter once again and try to write down all the answers on your own. Till then, stay excited for the clamp of next video and stay happy and healthy. Thank you so much.